everybody. Not everybody at once.
I was muted. I'm unmuted.
There you go.
I'm unmuted. Who we got?
You're not muted.
I am unmuted.
You can't be held back, buddy. You cannot be held back.
Cannot hold me back. Welcome. Come on in. Looking through. Lizzie. That's a new one.
That's right.
Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
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 Although if I'm going to be Ed today, I need to go, yes, hello. That was not a really good Ed. What's that?
That was a really bad start. I agree.
That was a poor start. But I got my James Spader 1980s bank hair going today.
Nice.
This is my banker look.
That was a better Ed. You went way better the second time.
Thank you, thank you.
Yep.
Full O gel, very stiff.
Diane, there's your former employer. We stole her.
I know.
We stole her.
You win.
Kate's wearing her K-State purple today. I appreciate that. Hello, Emily. I'm anxious to see Chad's background.
He's got the camera off right now.
Yep.
And he's working.
I downloaded a Six Flags background just for today, but I didn't get it uploaded yet.
Oh, man, it sounds fun.
Get on it. Speaking of let's get on it, it's 2:02. Let's get on it.
Thank you, Ed McMahon. All right, do you want to
Yes.
start this? We didn't really talk about how we're going to introduce this today, did we?
No, not really.
Why don't you be Ed McMahon and I direct you as the host
Okay.
to start?
Okay. Tell
We
me
just
when to
got a
start.
text from Dixie. Go now.
Well, thank you, everybody. That was a terrible start. Take two. Ready? Thank you, everybody, for coming. Really appreciate you guys making time for us again. Today, we are doing Walsh and Simmons, and I'm going to kind of step back, as you probably heard, and let Jeffrey be Johnny tonight, this afternoon. And I'll be Ed McMahon. I'll laugh at everything he says. Yes. And then, maybe interject once or twice. How does that sound?
It sounds.
So today, do you want
You do
to
it.
introduce Mike? Okay. So today, we have Mike, and it looks like but it's Hanaki, right? And Mike is with Walsh and Simmons. Say hello, Mike.
Hello.
Nailed it.
He was right on. Yes. All right. I'm excited about today's Tug Time for a couple reasons. Number one, I get to do the interviewing of Mike. Walsh and Simmons is a line I think we have had right at 9 years now, or 10. It's a big part of our business, but it's in a little bit different space than a lot of our equipment. So it's a big volume line for Miller and Associates. It fits exactly with kind of the rest of our line card, and that most of our lines are feature and benefit added. We sell on value rather than on price. And Walsh and Simmons is maybe the most far and away leader. They separate themselves the furthest from their competition with construction and that sort of thing. Facilities as well. So with that, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, what your family's like, kids, and all that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there. Hobbies,
Sure. Well,
pets.
I can do all that. I appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity. And thanks for everybody taking the time out of their schedule to learn a little bit more about Walsh and Simmons. A little bit about me is in background, I'm originally from Chicago, have lived here in St. Louis for the past 20 years. home of the world champion St. Louis Blues for maybe 2 seasons in a row if we don't finish this season. I'm married. I have 4 adult children. 3 of the 4 I assumed would be out of the house until COVID-19 hit, and they all came back home from college, etc. So we are a full house again. We have 2 dogs plus a puppy that one of my daughters brought home from college. So yes, I am hiding off in a corner of our house right now because otherwise it would be really noisy and crazy. And to get away from the craziness here, I try to find refuge on the golf course as much as I can.
Very cool. I love it. You might tell them where you lived before St. Louis, because I believe the immediate stop before St. Louis was local.
It was in Dallas.
Yep. Former Frito-Lay guy.
Yep, I lived in Plano for about 6 years in the late 90s.
Love it. It was really booming at that point in Plano, by the way.
Prime Plano time right there.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
That is like right in Plano's wheelhouse. By the way, great interjection. You did that really well.
You know what, Jeff? We can just kind of one might say that we're tag teaming this effort today.
Yes, that's the second time you've made the tag team joke.
Tug time.
Yes. So, Mike, interesting fact about yourself. That is what the normal host, Tug Toller, goes to next.
Okay. So you just mentioned that I was at Frito-Lay, lived in Dallas for a while. And one of the responsibilities that I had when I was at Frito-Lay was to do advertising. So I actually shot a commercial with Michael J. Fox and Bryan Cranston that was actually on the Super Bowl in 1998, I believe.
And if I remember right, Frito-Lay can actually call it the Super Bowl. They don't have to say the big game as all the non-sponsors, correct?
Yes, with the millions of dollars that they spend, they have the right to say Super Bowl.
That's pretty cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And your background in the industry, I think directly when we're talking about equipment, supplies, furniture industry, this might be kind of your first direct stop.
It is.
But you might start with Frito-Lay and kind of where you went from there. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So most of my early career, I was a packaged goods sales and marketing guy. So I worked at big companies like Frito-Lay and Quaker Oats, Dean Foods, the dairy company, and then moved to St. Louis in 2000 to actually run a company called Aurora Foods, another packaged goods company. We owned Duncan Hines and Lender's Bagels and Aunt Jemima, et cetera. That business got sold off, and I ended up buying a small MILLWORK company in 2004, mostly because I didn't want to pick up and move again. You had young kids at the time. And then ultimately made a couple other business acquisitions, which ultimately got me in this business. I bought a company called Burco Designs back in 2013, a business in the contract furniture space. And then I actually bought Walsh Simmons in 2015. So Walsh Simmons has been around for years or so. But I have just been involved in the industry for the last 5 years or so. So I'm still learning lots about this industry.
Awesome. Very, very, very cool. So leading up to this COVID situation, how was everything in the factory? How's everything been during, I guess, and kind of what do you see going forward for your companies there?
Yeah. So, for us, we're a manufacturer. So we've got 100 employees that are manufacturing furniture and millwork every day. And our business was kind of cruising right along. We were growing low single digits as we started the year. And then I think similar to what everybody else has faced, our business kind of hit the brakes. Yep. And especially the restaurant portion of our business is about 25% of our sales. It really, in March, that business was down 20%. In April, that business was down 80% versus a year ago.
Mhm.
This month, we're actually moving back in the right direction, down 40% is I think where we're going to end up the month.
Mhm.
But when I look at where June is kind of projected to be, looks like we're going to be back to about equal to a year ago or
Awesome.
so. So, you know, we are and have been deemed an essential business. We do a lot of furniture and millwork for healthcare and for government. And technically, we're in the construction space. So we've been working this whole time. But orders have really slowed down. And we'll talk about in a few minutes, I think, kind of where I think we see this space going in restaurants. But we're cautiously optimistic that as the country gets back into some normalcy, we're going to see things rebound fairly quickly.
Yeah. Awesome. We're hoping that too. I think being in Texas, generally speaking, from an economic standpoint, we tend to not be hit as hard generally, and we tend to rebound a little quicker. So our numbers trend like yours do, I think, at Miller and Associates, but maybe not quite so deep.
Deep, yeah.
We have some consultants on here today, for instance, and a lot of contract and design people, and that segment of the business seems to have just kept rolling, right? So if it comes to corporate feeding or college, universities, and even K through 12 development. So
sure.
Well, let's jump into Walsh and Simmons a little bit. As I said before, it's a line that I'm tremendously just proud to represent. Their construction sets themselves apart, and we'll get into that. Why don't you start, Mike, with just giving us an overview of the four brands and kind of how everything fits together, and then what may, because of those synergies, help you guys set yourselves apart.
Sure. So I'm going to start in the bottom left-hand corner with One Source Retail here, because that was the business that I first bought back in 2004. Really a millwork-focused business, primarily in the franchise space. So we do everything from store layout and design to manufacturing millwork that goes into retail locations. We source things like flooring and lighting and graphics, put it all on one truck, and then deliver that to the franchisee so that they can have their white box space turned into whatever the branded concept is. And that was really the business that I started out with. Wasn't in that space, but repositioned it there.
Could you take it, not food service related, but I'd love to hear a couple of the customers that you do that for currently.
Yeah, absolutely. Goldfish Swim School, fairly large national account that we work with. They do indoor swimming lessons for kids. Concept. Well, we do a lot of service business. So hair salons, Image Studios 360 is a big hotel hair salon. Lunchbox Wax, a women's waxing salon.
That's the one I remembered.
We
I could have said that one off the top of my head.
We do a lot of pet concepts. So we do doggy daycare concepts. We do 3-Dog Bakery, a bakery for dogs. And really our business 15 years ago was really traditional retail. You go into a retail store. It started out with Lids, the baseball hat company in the mall.
Yeah.
And it's transitioned over the last 3 to 5 years to really a more service-oriented retail support business.
Awesome.
So
Thank you. And I'll let you get back into kind of the synergy between the brands there too.
Yeah. So OSR is the foundation, then enabled us to purchase Burco Designs, a contract furniture business. So we're really good in millwork. Burco Designs, about a 50-year-old company that does primarily tables, a lot of metal fabrication. So it broadened our capability into being able to do our own metal fab, welding, powder coating, all in-house, as well as got us into a different channel of business. Oasis Burco is a joint venture we have with a company out of the UK called the Frem Group. A lot of the furniture trends start in Europe, and we're not really great at design, but we're really good at manufacturing and marketing and selling. And so we wanted to partner with somebody who was really good and on the front end of design. So we're now bringing really European-inspired furniture designs as the kind of sole manufacturing marketing arm in the U.S. again, broadening our capabilities. And then Walsh and Simmons, which most of you are familiar with, really got us into the restaurant hospitality world that we really were not able to get into before. And a lot of that was due to not having the manufacturing capability of doing upholstered furniture. And that's really the capability that Walsh and Simmons brought. So
Yep.
what I've really tried to do is string together different manufacturing capabilities that then allow us to sell different products into different channels,
Yep.
no matter who they're designed for or by.
Yeah, I think if you look at Burco, and then if the Oasis Burco, right, you guys are doing a lot of privacy booths for office spaces and that, where a person could go in and have a phone call with their doctor or with their kids'
Yep.
school during the day, that kind of thing. Those
Yeah.
are things that I think we're going to see incorporated into food service designs more as we go, and especially at the college level, for instance, and even K through 12 as things go on. So that's something
Completely
for
agree.
that's something for our crew here to kind of pay attention to, that we have these capabilities of doing contract furniture that has power built in, and for big feeders and that sort of thing, as well as some really unique custom type privacy booths and that sort of thing. All right, so let's jump into Walsh and Simmons booths specifically, and let's
Easy for
talk
you to
about
say.
construction. What's that?
Easy for you to say.
It is, yes. I said it in a very drawn out, let's say that again to make sure I got it right sort of way. So, yeah. Let's talk about what sets Walsh and Simmons apart from the competition. And I'll let you just go through this slide, Mike, if you'd like.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of information on the slide, and I think there's really three things that make our booths uniquely different from competitors out there. One is that we make our booths all out of plywood, and plywood construction is the strongest, most durable, longest lasting. It's more expensive, but the way we make our booth with a one-piece plywood end frame so that the booth doesn't rock, and the way that we construct the entire structure out of that kind of material delivers a booth that we warranty for 5 years, but Walsh and Simmons has had booths in the market for 30 plus years that just get reupholstered over time. The second thing to me is the springs that we use. They're higher quality than most of our competitors. They last longer, and that's really so that your booth doesn't sag over time as you sit on it. It's a slightly more higher investment up front, but a much longer lasting, higher quality product in the end.
Yep.
And the last thing is what you'll see kind of in the top right yellow box under upholstery, this high slip polyethylene. It's a fancy term for basically a clear plastic film or plastic bag that we put between the foam in your seat. Thanks, Ed. And the upholstery right. And the upholstery on the top of the seat. And what that does is, most of the upholstery the vinyl has a really coarse backing to it.
Yep.
And over time, that coarse backing, as people slide back and forth on a booth, they wear out the foam that's underneath it. And if you ever sat in a booth where you kind of get to a point and you kind of sink down in a section, it's because the foam's worn away. That clear piece of film that goes between those two layers, it keeps that from happening. So our booths last forever. So those three things are really the plywood, the springs, and the film. Those are really the things that set us apart and enable us to have the kind of warranty that we have that far exceeds anybody else in the industry.
You bet. That sounds great. I can tell you, we provide all the booths for Jason's Deli, for instance. We do for Chewy's. And one of the things that I think is just sets these booths apart is that we get almost no wrinkling when we're over time in our booths. That high slip film has a lot to do with that. Obviously, the stronger springs, and then also I think the way you upholster. Walsh and Simmons actually upholsters booth seats under pressure. So they've got a press that pushes the booth seat down, 750-pound press, I believe. And that what that means is they're pressing or they're adhering the vinyl or the outside coating, whether that's vinyl, leather, anything like that, and then allowing that pressure off. The booth springs back into shape, and you've got an incredibly tight fit. So we could probably go on for the next 20-25 minutes. We're at 20 after right now, so that would be against the tug time stipulation of being 25 to 30 minutes long. But there are many things that set these booths apart. One of the biggest results of that, you heard Mike say, and that is we have a 5-year warranty. Nobody has a 5-year warranty on booths but Walsh Simmons. It's a huge deal and a huge difference. So Mike, I kind of jumped in on the next question. And it's basically, we know you make tables, chairs, booths. If there's anything, I guess we already went into the breadth of products that you offer from One Source, Burco, Walsh & Simmons, but maybe you can talk about some of the other services you can provide, like consolidation and that sort of thing, that your facility, the size of your facility offers.
Yeah, we offer, we've got about 150,000 square feet of manufacturing space. And one of the things that we've done historically on the One Source retail business is that we consolidate all of the things that go to a franchise location and put them all on one truck. We save shipping costs. We're kind of a one point of contact for simplicity. And we're trying to bring that same kind of service level, call it a restaurant in a box concept, to the restaurant industry. So anything that's front of the house, whether we manufacture it or not, if it makes it easier for your customer, we're more than happy to warehouse those items, put them on the same truck so that they deliver at the same time. And it really makes it kind of a one-stop shop and simplistic for the end user. And for some customers, we're even bringing in competitive products, chairs, for example. If they're bringing chairs in from China and already have, those in quantity, we'll warehouse those and we'll put them on the truck with millwork and booths and tables and everything else to make it simple.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Chris Miller, are you back? And we've had a little technical difficulty in the background there. Okay, perfect. The last thing I thought we would talk about today is just showing some pictures of installations. Chris had gotten kicked off of our call, so he's just coming back and starting to, yeah, here we go. Awesome. So, Mike, can you take us through some of your recent projects? And for our crew here, on pay attention to the millwork. Their millwork is absolutely beautiful, and I think it's something that maybe at Miller and Associates we don't do a great job promoting sometimes. So I'll let you take it, Mike.
Sure. So left to right on the screen, just to give you an idea of some recent projects that we've done. On the left-hand side is a podium that we did for the Aria Hotel out in Las Vegas. Custom laminate work combined with solid surface. It's got inlaid LED lighting, both on the front side. There's a logo panel that goes on this that isn't shown. But again, something that we can do both small quantity as well as large quantity. This is going to be a 200 unit order, I believe, for them before it's all said and done. Next picture over is some custom community tables we did for Smashburger. It's hard to see, but there's electric power built into the face of those tables to make it easier for the consumer to use. The top right-hand picture is a couple grab-and-go units that we did for the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Those you're welcome. All metal fab, roll-in refrigeration equipment, power TVs, lighting, the whole works on those. And then in the bottom right, we did a bunch of these beverage units for Amazon's corporate headquarters out on the West Coast. So a real broad range of capabilities of things that we can do, just to really kind of spark you thinking about when you run into a project with a customer and you're thinking about who could do that. Think Walsh & Simmons. We're not just a booth company.
Awesome. Last thing, Mike, real quickly, if you could kind of elaborate, and this question actually came in the chat from Diane Hager.
Yep.
If you could elaborate on where you think the industry is going and kind of how you'll fit into some of those trends. That's one thing we talked about up front and hadn't gotten back to yet.
Yeah. So I think in the short term, and the short term might be 18 months, I think this whole notion of contactless grab and go is going to be a bigger and bigger deal. And so I think, thinking through how you relay out a restaurant so that maybe there's a separate entrance for grab and go, or for the, the food delivery people to come pick things up, with the appropriate millwork, potentially the ability to keep things warm or segregated or however that is, but doing it in a branded way that reinforces your brand concept, I think is going to be important. But also thinking about that real estate in light of how things may transition over the next 6, 12, 18 months back to more dining space.
Yep.
So that you can flex that space, which is going to be grab and go, maybe over the next 6 to 12 months, back into dining space over time with removable or movable partitions or some things like that, that create a sense of safety for your dining room and safety for grab and go, but over time can be flexible. I think we're going to spend more and more of our time helping create solutions in that space more than anything. There's also things like, materials and fabrics that are washable and cleanable. Solid surface is going to be more important and things like that. But I think this whole grab and go concept is going to be important. And, we talked a lot about millwork. These are just some pictures of some millwork examples of things that we have the capability to do in-house.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So this brings us to our chat time. That was the only question we've had so far. Did anybody else?
There was one more I saw.
Okay, go for it.
It was Chad. Where'd it go? There it is.
Oh, I see it.
Is there a limit to the size of the millwork project that you will take on, Mike?
Typically, we like projects to be $5,000 net or larger. But, we're in a different world than we were in 3 months ago. And so my answer is a little different than it used to be. We'll look at anything.
Yeah,
sure.
And as far
I don't
as
know if Chad was talking about, I think maybe even Chad was talking about like larger, not so much minimum.
Yeah, and I don't think we'd have anything.
No, we do millwork projects over 100,000. That's no issue.
Yeah.
102. We just bid a big Four Seasons job that's probably $750,000.
Yeah. And Chad, I've got a bunch of pictures from their factory of millwork while it's under construction, while it's at the end of the line and that. And I saw we can discuss this later, and I will definitely reach back to you on that. That, I think.
We have one more. Mr. Nelson asked, do we do the soffits above the booths for that last slide, the one on the left, the picture from the left? On the left from the last slide.
Yes, we did. And we regularly do soffits. That was a Tom and Chi soffit that we created for them specifically. We do Tom and Chi, we do a whole bunch of different company soffits. Yes.
Yep. So, so everybody has it. You can see Mike's contact information here. At this point, I think we turn it over to Tug Toller for the question of the day, and then for our interesting fact, Mr. Toller.
Right. Yes, sir. All right, so we are on to question of the day. For those who might be new, first person to get it to tugtime@millerequip.com, and by it I mean the correct answer, will win a $50 gift card to fill in the blank location. If it's a local restaurant, great. If you need a boutique, maybe. Small business is what we're trying to help, but specifically, typically restaurants, because it's kind of our industry. So the question of the day today is it coming up? Did I lose Chris?
Frozen again, Tug.
I think we lost Chris. All right, I'll share my screen because I have it. Hang on.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. All right, let me do that. Hit share screen. I'm on it.
And wait for it.
Wait for it. Share. Oops. No, same idea. There we go. We pull it to more like this side. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. So question of the day is, why do Walsh and Simmons booths not pinch or sag? So I guess it's technically a two-part question. Two-part question. Okay. Why do Walsh and Simmons booths not pinch or sag? First
Can I
person
win?
to get, do what, Jeff?
No, that was
That was
Mike.
actually Mike.
Can I win?
No, no. I
Mike,
think
you are a
that's,
winner.
that'd be like cheating.
But
All right. So that brings us to the interesting facts of the day. So recently I've been trying to make them somewhat pertinent to what we've been doing. And this one hopefully is no different. So Pompeii, you might be thinking, what? Pompeii, the city that was buried in ash from Vesuvius, has some interesting insights to what we're talking about today. So it was an amazing find for many reasons. The art, the humanity is in the castings of the people that were there. It is a city frozen in time. We get to see things like the city layouts, we get to see the markets, interestingly enough, restaurants. They had full serve, they had somewhat QSR, and they had fast food. Thinking about this, Pompeii, Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD. So we're talking 2,000 years ago. They had fast food where it was to-go style food. They found over 150 restaurants in Pompeii and 33 bakeries. The restaurants typically were called, or are called now, more of thermopolium. That different dolia, let's go to the picture, there we go. So those circles are not bathrooms or toilets, like somebody had asked on the pre-show. That is terracotta pots that are built into the serving counters. They had some that were heated and some that were not. You can kind of see in the top right where there's a picture of 1, 2, 3. That's actually a heated version. But the other ones would have room temp food in there. Obviously, there are no sneeze guards involved. So, you know.
they were not COVID ready.
Yeah, they're not COVID ready. You're right. You can see a nice fresco, but you can see that the stone tops don't look that much different from somebody designing something today. That's pretty crazy, in my opinion.
It is neat.
Yeah. So some of the other neat things about this, they have found more than 80 loaves or partial loaves of bread that were in the Gulf of Naples, which is where Pompeii and Herculaneum, I think, was one of the other towns that got demolished. In those loaves, they found, they're called panis quadratus. Panis quadratus. You can see brand marks in there because there were 33 bakeries and they were pretty much public. So everyone kind of had their brand, and think of it like Wonder Bread putting a picture on the outside. They had it baked into the bread, so you knew who the bread baker or producer was. They even have some that have thumbprints in it, which is kind of crazy, 2,000 years later. And then finally, for the restaurants, we have an interesting mixture of the sit down, and we have the sit down and then to go. So for the sit down area, there we are. This is actually home. This is triclinium, I think. Yeah, triclinium. Nailed it. Nailed it. This is what home dining tables, formal dining would look like. There's a center table. There's 3 sides. And as you can see, it is large and kind of inclined. It is meant for the laying down eating thing that you think of when you think of kind of the old Roman Caligula style parties. You can kind of see a little drawing down in the bottom middle of what it would look like at a dinner party, how they would have 3 people on 3 sides. If you do see down in the bottom left, that's actually one of the restaurants seating. So it is more meant for one person, but they could definitely be kind of laying down while having that.
It's interesting that they block in the quote unquote high status guests, right?
Yeah.
They're back there in the corner.
They are cornered. They're screwed.
You
Some
gotta
of them,
pee.
now these are built in, right? They have also ones that are called, what were they? Something with an A. A cubita, which were movable. So they're not the built-in style, to where I guess they could have it position where they could get up easier. Let's see, anything else? Incumbent we talked about. Sorry about this. Yeah, so I found that really stinking neat, just to see what it was like 2,000 years ago, that we had fast food, that we have booths and tables, and really for the most part haven't changed. So,
Hey,
yeah.
Tug, I had one question.
Yeah,
Was the bread sliced?
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
The quad, whatever I call it, the quad panis quadium, quad
Yes.
something. It is it's what looks like 8 slices, like 8 sections, but they're not actually sliced. It's an imprint.
So
in the
this
bread.
is the greatest thing before sliced bread.
Yeah, quite clearly. White,
Dad joke.
quite
From
clear.
Dad. Yeah. Cool.
All right, so that brings me to the end of my interesting facts. That also brings me to the end of Tug Time. I'm finished with Tug Time. I hope Jeffrey's finished with his Tug Time as we tag team the Tug Time.
I'm finished.
Excellent. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we said you would, and learned as much, and it was as good for you as we said it would be. We want to thank Mike. Next, we have Thursday. We have Alto Sham. It's going to be Rocky. So another head that is sans hair. Gonna be good.
Hey, they don't even know, but I shined this thing up right before the call today.
Turtle wax and everything, huh?
Right before the call. Keep it short.
All right.
Rocky,
So thank you
we'll
guys
right
very much. We really appreciate it. Mike, thank you very much for your time. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Mike,
We'll
yeah,
see you guys again on Thursday. Mike,
great
stay on for a
information,
sec.
Mike. Thanks so much.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye,
Stay on for a
everybody.
sec, Mike.